National Collegiate Athletic Association, NCAA, has voted to remove marijuana from its banned substance list for Division I players effective immediately. Can I get a round of applause for that? Please, please.
Look at that.
Yes. Finally, giving people rights to own their own likeness, get paid for that, for being on billboards and all this other shit. And they can also smoke weed now, too. So about 5 months after the NCAA's Division I Council proposed the rule change, the body adopted the policy on Tuesday, emphasizing that cannabis is not a performance-enhancing drug. I wonder what WADA has to say about that, Jason. Right? So this is not a performance-enhancing drug, and that it should be treated the same way as alcohol. The reform builds on a 2022 change that increased the allowable THC threshold for collegiate athletes, aligning NCAA's rules with those of WADA. Marijuana can help increase it's an ad right there. I apologize. So the newly adopted rule, which amends the NDAA's drug testing policies for student sports championships and postseason participation in football, will also retroactively be applied, discontinuing any penalties for players that are currently facing for any cannabis-related violations. Here's what Josh Whitman, chair of the council, said in a press release. NCAA drug testing program is intended to focus on integrity of competition, and cannabis products do not provide a competitive advantage. The council's focus is on policies centered on student-athlete health and well-being rather than punishment of cannabis use. Cannabinoids will be addressed like any other non-performance enhancing drugs like alcohol, and NCAA members will focus on harm reduction strategies, problematic cannabis use, and centering health of student-athletes. The reform follows a preliminary recommendation last June from NCAA's Committee on Competitive Safeguards and Medical Aspects of Sports that each of the organization's 3 governing bodies remove marijuana from the banned substance list. Division 2 and 3 have yet to vote on the proposal, but Representative Earl Blumenauer, the regulator when it comes to talking about these things, man out of Oregon, slowly, here's what he had to say. Slowly, surely, America is coming to its senses after 50 years of failed war drugs. And he said it's only fitting that NCAA remove cannabis from the list of banned substances, as Sha'Carri Richardson qualifies for the 2024 Olympics, an accomplishment she earned for years ago, but was wrongly taken away. Common sense is finally prevailing. Historically, here's what Kyle Yeager left the story at right here. So historically, college athletes have been subject to testing during postseason play. Positive tests can mean an entire season of lost eligibility. Officials have said the changes are intended to focus more on problematic use than penalizing players for a single mistake. So I'm going to talk about my experience real quickly here. The schools, when I was playing back in 01 to 05, the actual colleges were the ones that were testing us for quote unquote street drugs, specifically for marijuana or for THC. And it was a weird separation because the scholarship athletes at Northwestern University, where I went to school, back then it was $47,000 a year room and board. Now it's $74,000 a year. And me and the rest of the full scholarship athletes, we never got randomly tested. We knew that the school was going to be testing us right before the season, and we knew that they were going to test us right before a bowl game, but that was it. We'd always smoke in between. But the non-scholarship athletes, they would always get tested randomly, whether it was a hair test, whether it was a piss test, you name it, because I feel like they had a quota to meet when it came to this testing. But the one time that I did get randomly tested, it was because ironically, it was because one of my teammates who had just got drafted, he got popped for andro, a steroid, when he was at the NFL Combine. And that's when they started randomly testing like all the scholarship athletes for the first time in that summer. And shout out to the Whizzinator, man. It kept me eligible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Whizzinator, bro. The original water weenie.
No, for real. Because when they come out and test you and shit, they watch you piss.
Yeah.
So as long as it's the right shade of brown,
hey,
good to go.
Color coordinate.
You can go down with that thing, man. Yeah, I was scared. I was scared shitless, not pissless, but I was scared as fuck, man, because we knew exactly what the cutoff point was. Like with me, it was like, if I have like 3.5 weeks, I'm good to go. But that's the one time that it did take me, catch me off guard, and literally smoking weed was the only way with our crazy workout regimen. That's the only way you could properly recover. So, like, no, we did not see it as medicinal use back then. But with all the other shit that we were doing, and my coach would always say, school first, football second.
That's not how it worked at my school.
Right, and it was bullshit, man. So big ups to the NCAA. I know they're trying to save face for like a lot of years of fucked up things that they've done to the athletes. The most problematic when I was there, man, we were beta testing for big pharma for all of these drugs. Like if you got nicked up at practice or whatever at a game, they would give us all these. This before big data, like digitized big data was a thing. They would give us like a 10-pack of Vioxx, Melexicam, these drugs that are not even on the market anymore because they led to strokes, heart attacks, untimely death with a lot of folks. And we were literally guinea pigs for big pharma, but we weren't allowed to use like the one thing that we knew would give us a good night's rest. We knew that would actually help us with our recovery when we were doing 2-a-day practices and shit. I'm still 100% on team death to the NCAA, death to all institutions. But I think this is a major victory for collegiate athletes, especially at D1 schools. I hope D2 and D3 get their shit together and they're able to mirror these rules. But I'm happy for these guys, man. Not only are they actually getting paid for the shit that they're doing for the community, with the name, I guess, representing these schools, but also they're able to relax. And I would much rather had been able to smoke freely and openly than being peer pressured into, like keg stands and shit like that. It always ended up in some fights or some problematic situations with with other people on campus. So smoke up, brothers, and maybe I can link up with my younger teammates this upcoming season and put one in the air with them and not have to worry about them getting in trouble for it. I'm Rico Lamitte, that was the street. Glad to be back.
Yeah, Rico, big question. Because first of all, this is fantastic news for all athletes, and I would say especially collegiate football players the most, because of CTS and the whole head injuries and all
CTE.
that. Yeah, CTE. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, CTE. Mm-hmm. But a question. For players that did provide a dirty test and were not allowed to play, is there any type of retribution that they will be able to possibly get back into playing that were not allowed to play in a previous year because of a dirty test?
I don't know if they're going to do it a previous year, but they did say in the article that anybody facing any punishment currently, it will be retroactively be implemented. So
that answers the question. So if they were on a suspension due to a dirty urinalysis, then that means that they would no longer be on this suspension.
Correct. The one thing that is, obviously, you can't hop in that DeLorean and go back in time or anything.
Well, yeah, if there was a criminal charges or something like that, that's not going to stop that. But
right,
yeah,
right. So that part sucks. But they will be able to. Anybody?
Do athletes get so? If you're an NCAA athlete and you produce a dirty urinalysis, do you get fined by the NCAA? No fines.
No.
Okay.
No, you don't. You get suspended. So it's always funny. My collegiate athlete friends and everything, if they're invested because they have a bunch of fantasy leagues and stuff like that, they're like, a violation of team rules. And whenever you see that on ESPN, like quote unquote violation of team rules, they pop positive on a drug test.
Got it. But they don't want to publicize that the dirty test or the dirty analysis or whatnot, because they don't want to promote drug use and all of this type of thing, basically.
Correct. And you get when I was playing, I don't know what the rules are now, but when I was playing, you were able to plead compassion one time. And so, like, if you knew you were going to fail a drug test or anything, you could quote unquote plead compassion, and they'd make you go through like a 6 weeks like drug rehab training, like a course. That's some cool. Bullshit like
that's
that.
Cool. That's cool. That could be a big help for people. I could see that being a big deal.
This sounds like a sound business decision.
Yeah.
Because the NCAA recognizes that if I can't attract top talent to my football or basketball program, and these folks can make millions of dollars selling their images, you shit on them by suspending them because they smoke pot on Friday night, okay, they ain't coming to your program. And colleges now are a for-profit business. I don't give a shit what they say. It's a for-profit business. They charge the hell out of you, and they're not going to shit in their own backyard. They're going to let people off because they know that who's going to transfer to your school if you're a tight ass about testing for weed. We all want to smoke weed. Why am I going there? You're not.
Since we have Elise on today, we can talk about like Wisconsin Badgers, man. Like their stadium, like their biggest sponsor is, I think it's like FanDuel. Like you have a sports betting company sponsoring your fucking stadium. And you want these kids not to be betting on stuff? You want them not to be point shaving? Come on, man. Like the game's all
1-877 don't bet. That's our disclaimer. Oh, don't have problematic gambling. Call this number. We'll help you.
Yeah.
Anytime, face your next bet. Yeah.
It's all bullshit, man.
That's very, very fair in regards. But don't bet. Don't cheat. Vegas hates cheaters.
Yeah, and it's also maybe the NCAA is it's like finally learning like how bad of a look it is for them.
I don't think that's what it is. I don't think that's what it is, because I don't think the NCAA cares how it looks, because they didn't allow collegiate athletes to be able to get sponsorships or be able to pay for things or whatnot for a whole number of years, and they didn't care how bad that made them look. And I don't think this made them look any worse as far as
I disagree.
As policy.
I disagree, because I think it was making them look because the boosters are getting younger. Right. And so like, the people who are contributing money to the school, they are like they're our age. Jason, like in the young 40s, in the 30s, and they all are down with smoking weed. That's the old guys, the old guard, and that's why it took them so long to change these policies. Is because like the old cats, the old heads that were given money back in the day, like they're like no, like hell no to all that shit. Like now it's like no. I don't want my kid going to a fucking school being pumped up full of a bunch of opioids.
You know what I'm
like? You know
what I'm going to attribute this? You know what I'm going to attribute this win to, Rico?
What's that?
I'm going to attribute this win to Nick Lachey, because Ohio lost to Michigan, and Ohio is getting ready to go into adult use, and the NCAA just changed this policy. So I'm willing to bet that they had a couple players on the roster that they feel like they would have beat Michigan had they would have been eligible to play if it hadn't have been for the NCAA rules. And seeing as how most of these schools are all in adult use states now where they have legalized sales, then now this is presenting the problem.
I think you're onto something, brother. I think you're onto something. Definitely.
I bet that's why. They're switching this whole policy.
They can never beat Michigan with those tenths, man. You gotta go eighths all day. You know what I'm saying? Like,
just saying, bro. Just saying. All the Michigan fans are gonna hate me for this, but whatever.
Bandwagoners. Don't worry, man.
Any final thoughts on this, Elise?
I heard this news yesterday. I thought of Rico right away. I don't know much about sports or college sports, but I think this is great. And yeah, I do really think it's groundbreaking, and it can change and impact a lot of lives. And also I think, maybe domino effect into some other organizations following suit. And I think it's freaking awesome. Let them smoke weed.
Let the ballers be ballers, right, Elise?
I did want to say this before we hop.
Yeah, go ahead, Rico.
I think a key term in there, the key sentence in there was about them saying that it is not a performance enhancing drug. So I would be very, very, very interested to see where WADA takes this, to see where these other leagues take that, because that was their sticking point in the past. They're like, it is a performance enhancing drug or some shit like that. And
I wonder,
technically, everything is a performance enhancing drug. Like if you take aspirin or you take Advil to soothe your muscles or anything, guess what? You're enhancing your performance.
You know what, Rico?
So water is an enhancing drug. What's that?
Your comments bring up a whole other thought process for me, and I wonder if this is just a precursor of the NCAA doing this, because the NCAA regulates all athletes, all sports within collegiate athletics. Am I correct on that? It's not just basketball, football, or whatnot. Like it could be swimming. Any collegiate athlete is governed by the NCAA. So my thought is, I bet you this is a precursor to the Olympic Games changing their policy, because their argument was that it's a performance enhancing drug. And so now the NBA is doing this, and a lot of the athletes that go into the Olympics are fresh out of college.
Well, that's what I'm alluding to with WADA.
Yeah.
But also, I saw all over Instagram yesterday, like Snoop Dogg is going to be play-by-play announcing for the Olympics for the U.S. Like, what the fuck?
Well, hold on. But we have something going on with the Olympics when it comes to L.A., bro. It's going to be the first time that the Olympic Games have ever been held in a region where there are legal adult use sales of cannabis going on. So it's going to be the first opening for the whole world to see how adult use sales operate on that type of a stage.
Do you think we'll be ready to take that stage?
I think we better hope that Michael Phelps, you know what I'm saying, is able to participate.
What kind of crazy world are we in today when Snoop Dogg is representing the U.S. Olympics?
Yeah, but also too, and last week we just covered Sha'Carri Richardson, how she qualified, how she's now qualified for the games also. So maybe this is a precursor to I think this is a precursor to what's going to happen for the Olympics. I think we're living in the future right now, Rico.